just wanna get you in. What? What? I'm rockets. Who says we ain't in the building? Who says we ain't into building? We the Moorish master masons, architects for your children, reppin' Friday 13th like Jason without the killing. But we promote life, oh, it's all about the feeling. And we invoke light, yo, we them light beings. Though you might see him on the block getting his portion, might be talking to cops, giving them caution. Occasionally wearing his fez when he's walking. See the turning heads, whispering, gawking. But he's locked in, and he's zoned out while we boxed in our own house.
We study the mystics, the adepts, the magi. Wisdom of the ancients can uncalcify us. Possible mission, free mental numbness. Extract the substance, rid minds of dumbness. Use the source, don't care what some purport. As we know by being told man knows not. Many before the floor, souls got bought. Placed in the devil's hands, ruling the seven lands. To dogma rituals, negro spirituals. Brainwash subliminal, keeps thinking to a minimal. They still criminal, in a world digital so pitiful. Mental survival so critical, it's visible. Can you see past writers' blocks? Hashtag zombies with waves of cyber thoughts. No need for cell phones, they speak through saw palms. It's nothing for alarm, chips and forearms.
Wind, brass and bass, such a beautiful serenade. Women feeding me grapes, I'm feeding the these serenades. Whether the sky is clear or gray, rain when you hear it fake, giving life to seeds, speaking through who not here today. Show you the future in a glimpse. Can always look to these hoes like hallucinatory pimps. Sun walked the desert, been more ever since I found God. Look back, used to see his prince. Forget being a prince, I'm a G. OD, grown man, no Jody. Deny it, you don't know me. Don't make me tap into the old me. That's like a couple hundred years. Walk around town with a couple hundred peers and release the peace of up fears. The sun gon' shine, so what tears? This young brother here just trying to get his third eye clear.
Ish, deep, Moors don't sleep. Invest in your mind and body and unleash. Real life rap, spitting over tracks. Conscious thinking and living and then attack. Ish, deep, Moors don't sleep. Invest in your mind and body and unleash. Real life rap, spitting over tracks. Conscious thinking and living and then attack.
So as the moon sets, the sun takes its place as goons on blocks, inspired spots, filled spaces. Peel back, rats, who got cases. Fire stain the corridors of flemo faces. Game changers, rule benders and no pretenders. Style lenders, channel my vibe through the fabric optic lenses. Send a message to our veterans, soldiers up and get it in. We on our verge, we emerge subliminal beings. Third eye seeing, still I participate unwilling.
They wanna break me, shape, bait, grade me. Rolling with my main G, double OMB. SON is crazy. For a minute that you think you could take me for a fool, like a native to his land, being schooled by a foreign dude. You've mistaken me, spiders on the roof, in the dark tools. I've been saying you've mistaken me. You better move or I'll mark it. My weapon is my tongue, your existence to target. Revealing all lies and deceit on the market. Genocide carried out in pockets, I knock it down, bulldozer. David to Goliath, it's an exposure. Some big cats ruling and it's getting closer to your downfall. Round up all your soldiers.
Little homie, I was seeking a fortune, tired of misfortune. I just wanted a portion, everything that I never had, though I needed my portion. Blowing like porcelain, haters fragile as porcelain. Getting broke, tired of being broke. How we acquire hope is the DJ skilling some dope, just to keep us afloat. Mind as deep as the boat, brain is a lethal weapon. We one need to elope. When I speak, I provoke. Walk in the room with my aura feeling like heavy smoke. Feel like when the levee broke under my Louis Vuitton, the semi-poke. Cause dirty cops will kill your boy, yeah, ain't a joke. The cost of living, higher profits in private prison. These little girls are selling bodies just to pay tuition. These little niggas selling niggas just for bail condition. It's like the slavery never ended, where's the intermission? I wanna free the world, but I'm one man. A couple ones like me and make one plan. I wanna free the world, but I'm one man. A couple ones like me and one plan.
King Boom.
The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. To know what true our leaders started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. To know what true our leaders started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. To know what true our leaders started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. To know what true our leaders started dropping it.
Dirty Moors still attempt to infiltrate the order. Active Moors are truth and take it to the corners. Across highways, past hedges and through borders. Move on dirty Moors like broken dam waters. Watch out for agents and provocateurs trying to get next to the heads with the doctor cures. They never pay dues and don't pay dues, contradicting with King Alfred to give clues like news. Noble Drew Ali died some pale more blues. Prophet saved him his money before the floor fell through, and that's true. Even though I don't have proof, selling memory tells me don't fall for spooks. Drop mental nukes, hanging from their own vine from the fig tree, looking up at them like Big B. No white flag or mercy for you fags. 5-point and pentagram is on our flag. Green, but not for cream. That dirty Moors took to throw off the balance of the Grand Treasury books, getting offers like high school ballers. Those that infiltrate are not Moors but robbers, robbing the people blind, deaf, dumb, and crippled. They can't tear this up, not one drop or trickle. No matter how hard they try to perpetrate the fraud, dirty Moors always fall on their sword.
The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. To know Drew Ali started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. To know Drew Ali started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. To know Drew Ali started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. To know Drew Ali started dropping it.
Me nah play with no so simmer and easy. From 19 how long me see it sleazy. So sick it's measly and disgusting. Everyone stood there. The Moors did nothing when Drew was attacked. They took the covenant that they will protect him and have his back. Behind on dues by 4 months, going to kangaroo courts to perform stunts. Temples versus temples, lawsuits from inner fights. Not doing their job, 3,500 for birthright. Mufti Force left the post to be in Gucci stores with God. I thank Allah for the Sufi Moors and Buddhist Nagas. Moorish mic renaissance, not rap sagas. Confusion clearer, MC battle scar wearer. Moorish nationality declarer. Straighten out the crooked ways, rap conduct squarer.
The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. To know Drew Ali started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. To know Drew Ali started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. To know Drew Ali started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. To know Drew Ali started dropping it.
Let me strip them down, I'm the bone bearer. Negro, black, colored, minority, death preparer. Not the being, but the label attached. See me like Martin, going crazy, waving gats. Cause you call yourself black, that's a kick me sign on your life. Can't stab your enemy holding the blade of the knife. Numbskull MCs flow so dull that I'm pulling down Orishas like skull caps to torture the rapper, scissor sippers. Rapper, CD scratcher, insert ripper. Call me Jack and get slapped though. Admiral when I flow, major like macro. Don't spit on a cameraman like Pac will, but beat the case like Black Bill but no lawyer. Ask Jim Carrey, liars do nothing for you while they get rich and poor you. Make you follow magistrate orders that get the coke to snort from wood corners and blocks ghetto. All I see is rappers, dress codes, repedo, tight shirts, skinny jeans looking like heavy metal bands. I'm not Bay but L like Gred and Hands. I grab mics, no sweat in hands. With birthright brands, I don't worry about getting scanned.
The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. To know Drew Ali started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. To know Drew Ali started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. To know Drew Ali started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. To know Drew Ali started dropping it.
What up?
Peace and love, Moors. I am your host, Ms. Raheem Aleph L, along with my co-host, Sheikh Kujo, Grand Sheikh Kujo, Adwo L. Peace and love, Noble.
Peace and love, Moor. Islam to all Moors worldwide.
Indeed, we are here for the month of March. Sons of Allah, happy natural new year to everybody. The equinox is definitely here. We had some snow on the East Coast, but it is what it is. It's still the time it is. So happy new year. And it's just crazy, man. I know you're going to have a lot to say tonight. I have some things to add on. I was thinking, man, I just feel like sometimes I look at the state of the so-called teachers, and I'm like, damn, you know what I mean? In the so-called field of consciousness or whatever, you know, it's just like, damn, bro. A lot has been said that's not true, you know, in general about Moors, active Moors, RV Bay publications. There's just been a lot of slander, misrepresentation of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. And I want to talk about some of those things before you go in. We go in because I know we're going to pull a couple of Circle 7 references tonight to make very clear. Yeah, absolutely. To make very clear that what Noble Drew Ali was speaking of, the lessons he taught, all of these in origin are Moorish. These are not European concepts. The Europeans, the whole thing about what they call the quote-unquote occult and what makes it secret or sacred is that this is the knowledge that Moors taught the Europeans during quote-unquote medieval times, right? This is where they get the masonry from, the philosophy of masonry, which came from Moors, who are builders, because there's levels to masonry, you know, there's levels to being impropria persona. There's just levels to it. So when people throw around the word masonry loosely, you know, and act as if that's not something that came from Moors, you already know they're lacking a lot of education. They're miseducated, or they haven't learned that. I say that to say that, you know, there's been some disrespectful things said about, or I'll say more so ignorant, because, you know, you have people who are going through identity crisis, which when you really step back and look at it, is a natural thing for people who lost their identity to eventually go through an identity crisis in life, even if they're calling themselves conscious, even if they're calling themselves pharaohs, and then putting Allah on it, and then dissing Allah and Islam at the same time, because these are the titles that they run with, right? And this is just an example of many, but this is a young man who is obviously in an identity crisis. And I say that because a lot of our people, and I realize, you know, it's not just one person who has it wrong that's pumping misinformation. Like, there's a lot of people who have the concept of Moors being Aboriginal and indigenous absolutely wrong. Why do I say that? I say that because, you know, people will go with the European narrative that the Aboriginal people are called, quote-unquote, American Indians, but then try to fade Noble Drew Ali as if him saying that Asiatics is something foreign. But at the same time, you're promoting a doctrine, and this is not just one specific people. Europeans do it. Unconscious Moors do this. You know, it's a clear sign of the identity crisis that people go through. But they'll say that it was American Indians, and Indians are Aboriginal and indigenous to America. But then when Noble Drew Ali, look at the statements of Noble Drew Ali, and when he's referring to us as Asiatics, they say, oh, that's just the Middle East. This is not Asia. Why would Noble Drew Ali say, you know, he's talking about Asiatics being Aboriginal, but Asiatics aren't Aboriginal, Indians are. This is a clear sign that we lack knowledge of geography. India is in Asia. So let's say the Indians were Aboriginal indigenous to North America. Would they not be Asiatics still if Indians came from Asia? We could clarify that the fact that North America is Morocco. We know we're Aboriginal indigenous, and we know we're not Indians. We're Asiatics. We get that. I get that. You know, I really get that. Indian, you know, is definitely circumscribing the Asiatic nation, which still includes Moors, which still includes the history of the Moorish Empire in Europe, because Europe is a part of Asia. right? So when you speak on Moorish history, you have to really have a veneration and respect and understand it's not just circumscribed to the borders of what they're calling Morocco today on the modern map, which they show you as Northwest Africa. Moor's history is way broader and deeper than that. Asiatic history is way broader and deeper than that. All right? So let's be clear. What they call Europe is also Asia, which is why you see many Moorheads throughout the coats of arms of Europe, because originally this was Asia, still is. So their modern perspective of the map, you know, is flawed, is damaged, it's not pure. I say that to say that, excuse me. I say that to say that when you look at the lessons that Noble Drew Ali divinely prepared, you have to understand that, you know, the people he was trying to reach at that time were under spells. So when it says that, you know, these are for all those who say they love Jesus, a lot of Moors were under a Christian spell at that particular time, post-1770s, post-1774, post-1779. Were there still free Moors during this time? Absolutely there were. There were free Moors in the 1700s into the early 1800s, but this is when they basically started switching over the chattel, you know, brands, and that's what was going on. So when Noble Drew Ali came with lessons divinely prepared, it goes back to what Farrakhan was saying when he did the speech in Newark, so-called Newark, New Jersey, and he gave reverence to Prophet Noble Drew Ali, and he gave reverence to the Prophet Yahshua, you know. And in there, he was speaking about how Yahshua said many things about who he was, you know. Yahshua never said he was a Christian. So when he's talking about these are lessons that are tailored for all those who say they love Jesus, that's the key right there, because the Europeans always jack Moorish culture and make idols out of, you know, the true and living on all levels. I mean, in full life, opposed to civil litter mortus. The lessons that the character of Yahshua embodies is that of being in full life, opposed to civil litter mortus, which goes into the philosophy of him resurrecting the dead people who are civil litter mortus and making them competent to be in the status of in full life. So no, we're not defending Christianity by saying, you know, learn about the lessons of Yahshua, who they call Jesus. You have to understand the difference, you know. So keeping it pristine, keeping it refined as far as the difference between studying master teachers, right? Because Yahshua, the philosophy that goes behind Yahshua, represents teachings of a master. So we can say sui juris, I guess, that Yahshua was a master teacher, and we have lessons of a master teacher. Likewise, you know, the Christians who jacked, quote unquote, masonry to a degree and wear the fez with the tassel pinned down, you know, with Moorish appellations on the fez, you have to be able to distinguish that regalia from, you know, true Moors, that being their regalia, opposed to that regalia being utilized by those who are imposters or aspiring to be the nobles. So that's costume. For Moors, that's national and religious headdress. Otherwise, you know, for the Shriners who wear these things, you know, with the decorations and all of that, that's costume, you know. But for the natural aspect of it, it's national headdress and it's religious headdress. It's divine and national, you know. And Again, that's not the only Moorish headdress. You got the turban, which goes in the same category. Doesn't matter, you know what I mean? If European women are mocking the garments of Moorish women, i.e., you see the headdress of a hijab compared to what these Roman Catholic nun women wear, you can see it's a direct mockery of the hijab. Does that make the hijab invalid? Absolutely not. Does it show and prove that they're aspiring and mimicking our culture? It absolutely does. So you have to be able to distinguish the two of the de jure aspect and those who are mimicking the de jure. So I say that to say that because we take time to learn about the lessons of Yahshua does not mean we are Christians or in any way are aspiring to be Christians. Likewise, if we study the philosophies of Buddha, you know what I mean? Doesn't mean we're going to be in a temple or live, a hermit life forever. It just means we go through the degrees of the hermit, the Buddha, the introspection. We take the lessons from it and honor, all true and divine prophets, as Noble Drew Ali said, Yahshua, Confucius, Buddha, Muhammad. Why? Because these are all your philosophies. Why are we losing in life? Because we keep throwing them out as if these are European ideologies. And this is what keeps us back from actually being more advanced, because I understand, and this is why you have to be thankful for those who did take the time out to teach the difference between true religion and dogma, right? Because we can separate the fact that the belief system of Yahshua, as taught modern days in the church and things like that, that's dogma, but when we look at the lessons, we can see the divine aspirations and inspirations that go with it. So again, I can't stress enough the necessity to separate the two. So, when people talk about, the Circle 7, it's talking about Jesus and all of this, at the particular time that it was manifested, and no, it was not manifested before the Holy Quran of Mecca or the Holy Quran of Muhammad. When they go into the history about, quote-unquote, Saudi Arabia, you have to understand, it's a big situation that happened in 1926, with what they call Arabia, but it wasn't that they founded the holy city of Mecca in 1926. What happened was Ibn Saud, who also was a lineal descendant of Moors, who also is who you see in the cover of the Circle 7. You see in there is Sultan Ibn Saud, who was alive at the same time Noble Drew Ali was. He was alive during those days. And what happened was they took back over portions of what you call Saudi Arabia today because of Sultan Abdul Aziz Ibn Saud. So this is how you got Saudi Arabia. All right? Moors took it back. You need to know the history. I know we're not Negro, black, and color, but for those who may be lacking on references, I suggest you get the book by J.A. Rogers called World's Great Men of Color, right? And I know we're not Negro, black, and color people, but in here you'll get some history about Ibn Saud, and now you'll understand why it's called Saudi Arabia. Because he did what you so-called black power revolutionaries claim that you're trying to do. All right? Being associated with Moors. Know that. He was the Sultan at that time. So him dealing with Moor science, they took some land back that was taken from their ancestors and renamed the place. So it wasn't like, Moors just founded Mecca in 1926. No, Moors took it back during those times. You have to know the difference. You have to know the difference. And without knowing that difference, none of it will make sense to you anyway, which is where you see a lot of Moors in a state of ignorance. And like I said, you know, they do things like this Allah, this the word Allah, this the word Islam. But all of these things are a part of their profile. So, you know, you dissing Allah, but at the same time, it's in your moniker. Like, you're not fooling us. But like I said, when you understand the psychology of a people who didn't know themselves coming into it, it's only natural they go through an identity crisis. Arrogance is another thing. But I'll say this, and I'm going to yield the floor over to you, Brother Cujo. I did get to check out that video that we was talking about on Tuesday night. And I see that there's a lot of spineless, weak-boned, spineless Moors out here. And I'm not saying that dissing Moors. I'm talking about those Moors who are dissing us. And we're Moors. Get that clear. We are Moors, you know, but there's a lot of weak Moors out here crying, complaining. And what I'm coming to the degree of realizing is that a lot of these people had cases, and I'm really starting to think a lot of them got flipped. I'm really starting to think a lot of them got flipped. Real talk, like real deal, Holyfield, because you know, this narrative that they're giving, like they're trying to blame Taj, they're trying to blame, you know, Great Seal, they're trying to blame RV Bay Publications for these actions that they took. Thing is, like, you pointed out, like, some of this stuff they're not even charged with, you know, entering houses or anything like that. But I want to say this, because a lot of people get it twisted. You have Moors in the Moor Science Temple of America who are disclaiming that. They're like, oh, nah, we're not about squatting in houses. That's radical. You know, even though Moors can never technically be squatters on their own land. Excuse me. This is how they're coming off, as if that philosophy is something foreign to the MST of A or Moor Science Temple of America. And I'm just saying that they're liars. They are fronting or ignorant if they don't know about those lessons. And the reason I say that is because in the Circle 7, it talks about this being the uniting of the Holy Quran of Mecca, that the authority on the 101s, it talks about the authority being derived from the great Quran of Muhammad, which, you know, the Holy Quran of Mecca and the great Quran of Muhammad is one and the same, because Muhammad is from Mecca. So let's be clear. These are one and the same thing. So when you look at the Holy Quran, and that's another thing too, don't let nobody just read you the Holy Quran of Mecca without them citing which Holy Quran of Mecca they're using. I had a Moorish American, Fez and everything, come up to me and try to read me the pocket Holy Quran of Mecca. And I went straight to Surah 2, number 138, just to be sure, because I'm familiar with the one by Yusuf Ali, the Holy Quran of Mecca I'm familiar with. That's the one a lot of Muslims or Muslims will suggest that you read if you're going to read one, because there's a lot of watered down versions. Just like they got the King James version of the Bible, they got the international version, they got the new international version, and all types of versions. You need to be very clear on which one of the sources of the Holy Quran of Mecca you're reading from, if it's credible or not. Because like I said, I had a Moorish American come up to me and try to read me something out of a pocket version of the Holy Quran of Mecca or the Great Quran of Muhammad. And it was absolutely bogus. That's not what the text originally said. Because in his pocket Holy Quran, it had in Surah 2, 138, it was mentioning that Allah is the best at coloring. And yeah, our baptism is the coloring of Allah. My jaw almost hit the floor. I said, bro, you know this is bull crap, right? Like, this is a modern washed down version. Do you have the Yusuf Ali version, like the big book? Because this will misguide anybody. You know, this is something you picked up at the newsstand or something. This is not valid. Nonetheless, you know, when you look at it in the Yusuf Ali version, it doesn't mention anything about being colored and Allah being the best at coloring. And the reason it struck me strange is that the Spirit led me right to that. I'm like, let me check Surah 2, 138, but I'm also keeping in mind the 101s where Noble Drali is mentioning that, you know, you're not Negro. Can a man be Negro, black, or colored? The answer is, you know what I'm saying? Colored means anything painted, stained, varnished, or dyed. So when I'm seeing this Surah 2, 138 in the pocket-sized Holy Quran of Mecca, like my antennas is all the way on because it's not matching up with the Yusuf Ali version, and it's not matching up with what the 101s are saying about Noble Drew Ali. I mean, what Noble Drew Ali is saying in the 101s about being colored. So I'm like, yo, you know this is a blatant attack. Mind you, this is a proclaimed Moorish American, feds on and everything. And he was like, oh, I didn't even know. I'm like, yeah, check your references. But I just say that to say this. I want to reference out of the Holy Quran of Mecca or Great Quran of Muhammad, Surah number 24, An-Nur. And An-Nur means the light. All right? Surah 24, An-Nur, enumeration 29. This is for all of those in the MST of A who say, oh, well, you know, entering houses and quote-unquote squatting, that has nothing to do with the teachings of Noble Drew Ali. Let's be very clear. The teachings of Noble Drew Ali are deeper than the Circle 7 Holy Quran. All right, so when we go to the upper degrees of what he was talking about, Surah 24 and Nur, or the light, enumeration 29, it says, it is no fault on your part to enter houses not used for living, in which serve some other use for you. And Allah has knowledge of what you reveal and what you conceal. Why do I say that? Because these weak-spined Moors who are acting as if it's Taj Tariq Bey's fault, RV Bey, Great Seal's fault for what happened to Abka Ray Bey, you know what I'm saying? Instead of standing on the First Amendment and their constitutional secure rights and religious freedoms, they chickened out, all right, turned chicken heads, and now they're blaming Moors because they didn't study. Because Moors left the lessons for you to get to the core square root of all of this. All right, Noble Drew Ali was talking about the Holy Quran of Mecca. This is a law book. So when it's talking in this book, and you don't know your First Amendment secured rights that you can exercise by correlating your constitutional rights with the holy books, you're sorely mistaken. You forgot this was divine and national. All right, look at the divine lessons. It's no fault on your part for entering houses, to enter houses not used for living, meaning that if you're going to enter a house, for the record, it should be abandoned. All right? Don't be moving in somebody who's possessing or in possession. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. That's the distinguishment. So, salute to the master teachers for teaching about the rules of abandonment. All right? Because these are your lessons for your salvation. As Christianity was manifested for the salvations of the pale-skinned nations of Europe. The pale-skinned nations of Europe. That's for them. This is for you. Moors, you know what I'm saying? So-called black people trying to place blame on Taj and Arby. And then these dudes sound homoerotic because they're saying, oh, Taj, he's ugly. He's an ugly nigga and all it is. You know what I mean? You homoerotic because your queen is locked up. They snatched your queen off the chessboard, and you didn't do shit about it yet. You niggas is tripping. Excuse my expression. But since they threw the word around, we could talk about it. All right? Because niggardly is arrogant. It also speaks in the Holy Quran of not enjoining niggardliness on others. If that was your queen, okay, you should have been in alignment of what was going on. Don't act like that was Todd's fault because she heard about her birthright and chose to exercise it, that now that's Todd's fault. I refuse. I refuse to let stuff like that slide any longer because it's not right. It's just not right and exact. You know what I'm saying? Even you know, with other master teachers teaching their philosophy. Nobody, you got, excuse me, you got people to this day who still fact check everything like they're supposed to do. So if anybody made choices and decisions on their own, you know what I mean? Don't be blaming nobody else down the road because that was your queen. You was there. Taj wasn't there. Roz, a Great Seal, nobody was there. You was there. So, you know, whatever actions they took, don't put that on RV Bay Publications. It's not right. It's irresponsible. It's very childish, right? You know what I'm saying? Because they're not taking responsibility for their actions. For their actions. You know what I'm saying? He sounds like a crybaby and ass ex of a girl who's, oh yeah, because she hung out with such and such and such and such. It's her fault that we breaking up and nah. Give her a straight back. Man up. How about that? You know what I'm saying? Do that. Stop blaming everybody else and take care of your affairs. You know what I mean? Just because they cross paths one time in real life. Like, come on, man. The false blames, the slander that's going on Moors is just not justified. It's all coming from ignorance. It's coming from ignorance. So I say that to say that, you know, Moors who are denying that, you know, even if the charge they was trying to pin on her had something to do with the house, even if it did, or any more, you can't disown her. Don't disown her because you're trying to preserve a false image of what the Moorish Science Temple of America is about, because we know it's about the lessons of the great Quran of Muhammad, Holy Quran of Mecca. And when we look at these things, again, Surah 24 and Noor, which means the light, enumeration 29, it is a specific instruction or affirmation that it is no fault on your part. Enter houses not used for living in, which serve some other use for you. And Allah has knowledge of what you reveal and what you conceal. I say that to say don't do it because I just quoted that. Go research it for yourself. Go research the Constitution for yourself. Look at the First Amendment. Does it correlate? Is it a constitutionally secure right? So-called Moorish American? Huh? Or is it really divine and national, or y'all playing games with people's birthrights? For now, I yield the floor, Cujo. Islam.
Islam. You caught me chewing. One thing is also looking at what you were talking about earlier, not judging a book by its cover. People talking crazy about the Holy Quran. When we talk about people trying to relate Noble Drew Ali to Freemasonry because of fezzes and whatever, it has to be reiterated. The Masons are the substitutes. They're not the authority. Not because they're the ones you heard about Moor, then you heard about Moors, means that they have some type of authority. They don't really have authority like that. So when we look at Noble Drew Ali being a prophet, and he's talking about, the great Quran of Muhammad, and he's talking about the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple, Moorish Holy Temple of Science, there's some symbology. There's some symbology on it that's making a point, because this is the uniting of Asia. So when we go to Albert G. Mackey, the symbolism of Freemasonry, the mystical ladder, which in Masonry is referred to the theological ladder, which Jacob in his vision saw, reaching from heaven to earth, was widely dispersed among the religions of antiquity, where it was always supposed to consist of 7 rounds or steps. For instance, in the mysteries of Mithras in Persia, where there were 7 stages or degrees of initiation, there was erected in the temples, or rather caves, for it was in them that the initiation was conducted, a high ladder of 7 steps or gates. In the mysteries of Brahma, we find the same reference to the ladder of 7 steps, but here the names are different. 7 steps were emblematic of the 7 worlds, which constituted the Indian universe. The lowest was Earth, the second, the world of re-existence, the third, heaven, the fourth, the middle world, or intermediate region between the lower and upper worlds, the fifth, the world of births, in which souls are again born, the sixth, the mansion of the blessed, and the 7th, or utmost round, the sphere of truth, the abode of Brahma, he himself being a symbol of the sun. Right? Of the Holy Quran, of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Moorish Holy Temple of Science. The concept of that being extended in all cultures lets you have the correct perspective of how you're supposed to look at these teachings if you quote-unquote love Jesus. Because again, this is divine and it's national. So you're looking at the book itself, and you put your seal in it, the seal of the temple in it, you autograph it, it now becomes something that you can use to prove your ancestral estate status. On the divine side, the book, you can excerpt lessons that are going to actually benefit your life, whatever it is. Any type of spiritual discipline, there's going to be something in there relative to 7, and it's going to be paramount to the teaching. So if within their teaching they're going on this campaign promoting 7, then let's judge this book by its cover and see how vast that he took you just on the cover only.
Truth. True.
We didn't even get to any pages yet, and he's already telling you about 7 steps and worlds of re-existence and all that. Because remember, we're just dealing with the cover as far as Noble Drew Ali. But when you say other religions, the 7 isn't until you get inside the book. This man was a mastermind doing what he did, saying what he said. using symbology that would force you to expand your horizon. There's no way that this book that Noble Drew Ali brought and deal with it how you see, like Brother Liz was saying, these European-minded, conscious people, how they're looking at it. Moorish history, same thing. Can't look at it like that. As soon as you look at it like a European mindset, you're going to be talking crazy like them. Like these people really convincing people that Freemasons created fezzes. These people are really convincing people that there's no such thing as a Moorish nation. That this is just Moor Science Temple of America only, and that's a religious corporation, and then that's what those guys are. When up and down the literature of Noble Drew Ali, he's talking about national everything. That doesn't sound like some group to me.
Word.
That doesn't sound like some thought, some organization, religious association. That sounds like he's talking on some higher degree that any of these so-called black scholars ever brought these people. They haven't even scratched the surface of what this man brought, because half the time they're denying him. Again, just on the cover only, a 7 with a broken quadrants around it.
Yeah. But then they'll get to the first line and start discrediting, because it says these lessons are for all those who love Jesus, right? And then they're like, oh, I'd have thrown it away off of just reading that alone. And I'm like, that's the most foolish, ignorant mind state you can have approaching knowledge. Because if you keep reading, it goes into the beginning of Christianity, and he tells you, you know what I mean? Jesus himself was of the true blood of the ancient Canaanites and Moabites and the inhabitants of Africa. So when you talk about Canaanland and Moab, right, even though we consider Asia, etc., you know what I mean? He's still letting you know that he's of the blood of all of this. Asiatics, Africans, you know, these are all Moors. When you look up the definition of Moor, it tells you any dark-skinned person, especially of the Asian or African race. I mean, come on. You know what I'm saying? This is what a Moor is. So, understanding they jacked the story just like the Virgin Mary. You know, they basically jacked the story of our set. It's nothing new. It's just these people don't acknowledge the history. And this is where the confusion comes in, because they keep throwing away that they're jacking all of this and then whitewashing it through imagery. And their perspective is based off of the quote-unquote whitewash. So they see a pilgrim with a fez and they associate Moors automatically. Like they didn't jack that from their people. Like they don't have, you know, fezzes that say Egypt on them as well. You know what I mean? Like they're not jacking Moorish culture, period. It's crazy, bro. It's crazy.
And that even tells them that if the Europeans are gonna have Egypt on a fez, what the hell? What point are they making? It's not like the Freemasons stole the Egyptian culture, or were taught the Egyptian culture, and they dress like Egyptians. They don't dress like Egyptians. They have the Egyptian mysteries in Freemasonry, but they don't dress like Egyptians.
Yeah, but see, one of the things that these fools keep missing is when they start studying basic books like Ancient and Modern Britons, you'll find out who they calling Egyptians are Moors. This is why they got the Scottish right, and they tell you about the Scots, you know what I'm saying, and the Picts, etc. being alleged gypsies, which are Moors. They blatantly tell you this. You know what I mean? The only people who don't know is us. We keep separated because we're so tribal. You know what I'm saying? And only off the imagery. You know what I'm saying? They only going off of the imagery. So or the place location opposed to the people who met at the place and did the damn thing. So they only associate, high civilization with Egypt. You know what I mean? And it's sad because these were Moors. The aboriginals of the place were Moors. I mean, like, come on, fam. And the world knows that. So even those Masons who wear, the fez with Egypt written on it, with Morocco written on it, Medina written on it, Mecca, all of these key places, right? They have it written on the fez that they took from Moor. So it's not like, oh, well, the Masons got on the fez, which is only associated with Morocco. If that was the case, why do they have Arabia written on the fez? Why is Egypt written on the fez? You know what I'm saying? Like, why do they have the Scottish Rite? You know what I mean? Do you know who? You got to know the history in ancient and modern Britons to make any sense of what they're venerating. You have to know that history. You have to know about the history of the Moorish Empire in Europe. And then what do you have to do? You have to eventually give the credit to Asiatics. Why? Because what you call Europe is Asia. It's no coincidence they respect Asiatic culture. Ain't no coincidence. That's what brought them out of the dark ages into the marvelous light. What are they seeking? Light, right? That's what they say. They come looking for the light, the three lights, etc. You know the whole drill. So that's what they into. And it's all Moors. So.
And to really, where's that book at? Put this out there too. What is it? Illuminati and Illumination of the Mind. Abdullah El-Talib Mozi Bey. Multiculture, a European colonial divide and conquer paradigm. Culture diversity turn aside, cultural difference. Divertere, D-I-V-E-R-T-E-R-E, to turn aside. Diversus, turn different ways. Diversitatum, D-I-V-E-R-S-I-T-A-T-E-M, contrariety, contradiction, disagreement. The unsuspecting general public has been socially groomed by social engineers into the distorted European colonial paradigm of multiculturalism. And remember again that Liz said Drew Ali wrote it down in the Quran to give back all the European stuff. Like you're supposed to hand that back. How is it that you're still moving towards that and not recognizing that, or you're really condoning, or you're really the life source of the European colonial divide and conquer paradigm? If you're disrespecting Moors, like that's not liberating. Yeah. That's self-defeating.
Yeah, and yo, you know what's crazy though? When you do the math on these people's, like, yo, they aunts and uncles and shit be police, bro. Like, you'll find out, like, oh, word, which about more that's so 200 years ago, but your aunt and your uncle right now is police. What are you talking about? Like, real talk. You know what I mean? And nothing against them, but I'm like, in these modern days, I don't know no Moors no proclaimed Moors that own jails. I don't know no proclaimed Moors who are getting you jammed up because you can't make a child support payment, all right, and locking your ass up, okay, and suspending your license to lock you up and things like that. I don't know no Moors on no wave like that. I know peoples who claim to be Negro black coloreds whose aunts and uncles and shit are into that. I don't know no proclaimed Moors into that. Correct me if I'm wrong. You know what I mean? And no knock to nobody, but let's be for real of who's really about that right now in real life.
Islam.
Yeah, I yield the floor.
Yeah, Islam more. I'm just trying to find this part. Oh, this foundational knowledge of civilization has been preserved by the world elite, high-ranking Masons and Eastern Stars, as well as high-ranking members of religious orders. As a result of this cultural burial, the people throughout the world are misguided into schematic thinking of cultural diversity and multiculturalism. When people talk cultural differences, the conversations are limited to the perceived distinctions in foods, clothing, languages, music, dances, art, architecture, religion, holidays, and ceremonies. For example, when people talk about the various dances throughout the world, they rarely discuss their connection to agriculture. The dances are fertility dances honoring the planting and harvest seasons. Even though the dances are different, they all have a common origin. The general public has been indoctrinated into accepting the false paradigm of multiculturalism. Right? In this case, right, the false paradigm that they're not Moors. Right? The red flag with the green 5-point star is not theirs because the original flag was a red flag. Say they honor Noble Drew Ali, who said that there's a green star on there. So what do you mean? You know, like Noble Drew Ali said, if you don't have faith in what it is, then put down the stuff and go back to go be a Negro. You have to talk negative about Moors. Let's stay as a Negro. It's fine. I mean, we're not going to be mad. We're actually going to respect you if you take that position instead of playing smart, playing like you know something you don't even have a status. Majority of these people who are talking whatever it is that they're talking, they don't have a foundation, right? So, for example, they're going to talk BS, right? But this is what we're taught by the Holy Prophet. And when you go into the Quran, realize that at the top of the page is written the divine instructions. And instructions are, orders, so you can get something right. So the instructions from the Prophet on sincerity that none of these people have, because if they were sincere, they wouldn't be talking BS about their own birthright. O thou who are enamored with the beauty of truth, and has fixed thy heart on the simplicity of her charms, hold fast thy fidelity unto her, and forsake her not. The constancy of thy virtue shall crown thee with honor. The tongue of the sincere is rooted in heart. Hypocrisy and deceit have no place in his words. He blusheth at falsehood and is founded, but in speaking the truth he has a steady eye. He supporteth as a man the dignity of his character. To the arts of hypocrisy he scorneth to stoop. He is consistent with himself. He is never embarrassed. He hath courage enough for truth, but to lie he is afraid. He is far above the meanness of dissimulation. The words of his mouth are the thoughts of his heart. Yet with the prudence and caution he openeth his lips, He studieth what is right and speaketh with discretion. He adviseth with friendship, with freedom, and whatsoever he promiseth, he shall surely be performed. But the heart of the hypocrite is hid in his breast. He maketh his words in the semblance of truth, which the business of his life is only to deceive. He laugheth in sorrow, he weepeth in joy, and the words of his mouth have no interpretation. He worketh in the dark as a mole, and fancieth he is safe, but he blundereth into light, and is betrayed and exposed with dirt on his head. He passeth his days in perpetual constraint. His tongue and heart are forever at variance. He laboreth for the character of a righteous man, and huggeth himself in the thoughts of his cunning. Fool, fool, the pains which thou takest to hide what thou art are more than would make thee what thou would seem. And the children of wisdom shall mock at thy cunning, when in the midst of security the disguise is stripped off, and the finger of derision shall point thee to scorn. So, we already got the instructions of what to look for. So don't ever think it's some, retaliatory whatever because they said somebody's name. We say all the time, we are the ones on the high road. We are the Moors that are independent, fearless, active, not passive. We're the ones. The ones who are on this line, the ones who are going to listen to this. The ones who study, the ones who know themselves for real, not know themselves for fake. The ones who know themselves for real. That they would say, no, I'm not going to do steroids because it's going to give me forehead pimples. Because I want to look good on camera. I'm going to go through the rigorous training to get where I want to be. You're not going to fake it till you make it. If people are sincere, it will come across in their action. Forget what they're saying. Their actions are going to prove it to you. And again, these are divine instructions and holy instructions at the same time. And those are two different degrees, holy and divine. So you're getting topped up when you deal with Noble Drew Ali. And remember, the reason why you're dealing with the divine instructions is because everything that was put in this book was divinely prepared. And again, when we're talking about this is the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Circle 7, right? We're talking about the same 7 that is describing the 7 stars in the Rig Veda, or the 7 streams of the Soma, or whatever they're going to bring up. The 7 steps leading to King Solomon's temple. 7 deities of Asiatic cultures. Like he's tying us to all this. And then when you check all them, they have a lesson on sincerity. You go to Buddha, yeah, the lesson on sincerity. Traditional Jewish culture, they got 7 palm trees and 7 nails and 7 doors and stuff like that. What do they have all that for? And they have no connection to Moors or Moorish science or the ancient Egyptian mysteries? It's clear that like we've been saying, the assault has escalated, but it's only rope that they're gonna hang themselves with. Like they're not really gonna have any effect on, Moors. They might have some effect on the weak minds, have those people ride the fence or whatever. But active Moors who study, they're not taking these people serious. We have our divine instruction that we've studied, applied, and shit, they're actually divine for real. He wasn't even playing.
Right.
He wasn't playing. Like when you actually apply the stuff that's called the divine instructions to self, you realize how fast you shoot up to your higher self. No playing. Moore told me today. Moore, I just found out that my Moabite's been studying. She said something. And, hey, what do you mean you know about that? How do you know about that? She's watching stuff. Right? Not saying anything in the open, throwing out little things in conversation. Because the quickening is going on right now. Been going on.
Yeah.
It's been going on. Just step back and remember that we're still here. Look how many people have switched that were talking BS about RV Beitaj and whoever else, and then fell off, and then we're still here. And then some more people jump on, and then they have their bandwagon going, and then they go for 6 months, and then they stop, quiet for a little bit, and then all of a sudden somebody pops up, and then some older people pop up, then people who you didn't even expect to be dirty pop up. Because it's that time now. Only weak minds will perish. Only weak minds will get caught. Because they took what Moors were saying for granted. They figured, Moors didn't know what they were talking about, and Noble Drew Ali isn't a prophet for real, and they have this figured out. They don't need Moors for anything or whatever. All right. Everything's going to come full circle. Has to. That's just the law.
Yeah.
Are you going to be out of the ark again? You're going to get left off the ark again? How many times do you have to be left off the ark to realize that next time I'm going to be on it? Some people it's a lifetime, many lifetimes. But the ones that are here now in that place, just remember, the sincerity scroll. Don't take any of these stuff light. Because you see, this is a little book. This book ain't nothing. Yeah, right. This book is the Demon Caster. This is the book that you will suppress the lower self with. Have the lower self bow to the higher self. Don't even want to be part of uplifting of anything. Lower self, yield the floor. Never talk ever again. just be on mute. Right.
And I don't know if it's just me,
Capitalism is
but
right instructor.
yeah, it's real. And it makes you realize what really is important in the way in which ways it's important too, because you realize like you have an obligation to assist your brother and sister if they're in adversity and things like that, right? But it's still you know what I mean, moderation to that. It's still moderation to that because a lot of people just try to put everything on one person, and that's never right. You know what I'm saying? It's like this when he's talking about these lessons, getting your house in order. He got the divine instructions for the youth, for the husband, for the wife, everybody, right? That's harmonic, yo. When you can even discuss those philosophies, right? But my thing is this. These lessons was also, the nature of them make you competent, as you said. You drop your lower self, you automatically on higher frequencies with that. But it's like this, man. At a certain time, you just got to be like, yo, look, we know we all here. We all here for a reason. But it is a point where you realize it's about the youth, bro. You know what I mean? And that's what's more important than anything is the fact that it's about posterity, because when you can pass those philosophies down to your youth, and when I say that, I mean whether that be your niece, nephew, younger cousins, whatever, when you start bringing philosophies or exercising certain moral principles that you immediately see the benefits from in your family. Like, forget everybody else. Not forget everybody else, but like, the strangers in the world, all of that becomes external to your real reality of what you're here for. I mean, speaking from my position, because I'm like this. I got a niece and nephew, and I'm about to be uncle to Starseed number 3 coming in. You know what I'm saying? Which it made me realize, like, nothing is impossible in life. Even when, they say sisters can't have they can't carry or they might miscarry or whatever, like it's never the end. Like they can always do it again if that's necessary. And I'm like, yo, it's about them, because the youth more than anything, because they're up, they're awake, they're not asleep. They are not asleep. I mean, like they really are just not asleep. They will give you some lessons out of the Circle 7, and they never even read the Circle 7, and they be giving you just the basic philosophies of life. So I mean, I see that book as like it's just so many levels to it, and I appreciate it. It definitely helps grow people up from minority status to competent status in the mind, and more so removes the aspect of relying on the middleman, And again, one of my favorite chapters is chapter 14, especially enumeration 24, was telling you to be careful of these people that you meet in life with, like the lawyers, the doctors, the scribes, all of these things, because sometimes you look at yourself, right? It's about studying yourself, which he makes abundantly clear in chapter 3. That, if you ask what to study, I will reply, study yourself, And when you study well, this will be his response to you. Study yourself, and when you do that, it correlates with the hermit mode that he was speaking about in chapter 14. And you come off like, yo, hold on, I'm getting pretty competent. I don't think I need these middle people no more, you know what I mean? And you start healing yourself, and the while goes past, and you be like, yo, it's been 7 years, I ain't been sick. I don't think I would need to see the doc. You know what I mean? This moringa is getting me right. Not to say you don't need to check out for other things. I'm just saying that, you stop being reliant on them, because remind you, these are aspects of getting our people strung out on drugs a lot of families been broken up because of, addictions, whether it be drug, alcoholism, whatever. But a lot of people aren't speaking of the aspect of families breaking down behind these medication drugs. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are aspects too of addictions. People on a lot of these medications that are not actual medicine. These are real drugs that people could go through the drive-through at a quote-unquote drugstore and pick up. They don't even have to get out the wheel. Like, they got drive-through drug pharmacies. So it's like, you look at that, you look at how attorneys be breaking people's families up, draining them for every penny, to get them a quote-unquote deal or whatever that they could have got by standing on their square. It's just mad different aspects of what he was saying in that book or ameliorating or putting on exhibit that has many ramifications. Many ramifications. So, yeah, I just wanted to say that in conjunction with the fact of what you were saying, that, it's so many levels to those statements in the Holy Quran that of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, Moorish Science Temple of America, that goes way deeper than the statement on the surface, It's not, and it's basic philosophies to the point, like I said, you'll see if you pay attention to the youth, they'll be living it out without ever reading the book, and of course there's wisdom to take you to higher degrees as you mature, but nonetheless you see them living it out because it's so natural. You know what I mean? If they ain't been tampered with, it's just natural. So I say that to say that's definitely a book in line. You can't judge it because it says, this is for all of those who say they love Jesus. Those was the ones who needed to come up out of the spell. So, of course, it would be for them. Why wouldn't he, you know what I mean? Like, why wouldn't he say, look, you saying you love Jesus. I need you to know this. You know what I mean? Because they were under impressions of misrepresentations, whitewashed images where they had pilgrims looking like they was Joshua. He's saying, no, he's of African, Canaanite, Moabite. They weren't pale-skinned nations of Europe. They were not. Big difference, yo. Big difference. Even the children be knowing there's something wrong when they go to church. And they like having the children eating crackers and cran grape juice as the blood of Jesus. They're like, I ain't with this shit. You know what I'm saying? What's this about? We don't do this. What you mean it's the blood of Jesus? You know what I mean? You got me like the blood of Jesus by cranberry juice, then they don't like cranberry juice no more. You know what I'm saying? And it's actually, the psychological ramifications.
That's the best juice.
Yeah. And then the parents is mad, like, why you don't like the greens and the vitamin C? It doesn't got hit up with a ritual at church. They don't know how to correlate this no more. You know what I mean? It's crazy, bro. It just got mad ramifications, crazy ramifications between the de jure and the colored versions or dogmatic versions of religion. Too many differences.
Yeah. And again, for the people who, have doubt or whatever, to beginning of Christianity. Now, if he's not telling you what it is in this, just be an open-minded individual for once. And really digest what is going on, what type of message he's relaying to people as a whole with this chapter. You know what I mean? Just for yourself, your own reflection, of what point is he really trying to make? Like, what's he really trying to say here? Right? The foundation of Christianity began in Rome. The Roman nations founded the first church, of whom crucified Jesus of Nazareth for seeking to redeem his people from under the Roman yoke and law. Jesus himself was the true blood of the ancient Canaanites and Moabites and the inhabitants of Africa, seeking to redeem his people in those days from the pressure of the pale-skinned nations of Europe. Rome crucified him according to their law. Then Europe had peace for a long time until Muhammad the first came upon the scene and fulfilled the works of Jesus of Nazareth. The holy teachings of Jesus was to the common people to redeem them from under the great pressure of the hands of the unjust, that the rulers and the rich would not oppress the poor. Also, that the lion and the lamb may lay down together, and neither would be harmed when morning came. These teachings were not, and one thing too, also that the lion and the lamb may lay down together, and neither would be harmed when morning came. Just remember that all these Moor Science Temple of Americas have that line as symbology on all their charters. The lion and the lamb laying down in yonder hills. Just so you could have some obligations to hold them to. That's sitting right there on the wall. That you're just sitting there and not looking at this from the perspective that you should. By these same middlemen, all the prophets came to tell you you don't need. These teachings were not accepted by the rulers, neither by the rich, because they loved the principles of the Ten Commandments. Through the Ten Commandments, the rulers and the rich live, while the poor suffer and die. The lamb is the poor people. The lion is the rulers and the rich. And through love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, all men are one and equal to seek their own destiny and to worship under their own vine and fig tree, after the principles of the holy and divine laws of their forefathers. All nations of the earth in these modern days are seeking peace, but there is one true and divine way that peace may be obtained in these days, and it is through love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice being taught universally to all nations in all lands. Now, this is 1920s. Remember, the people today in 2018 forget that in the 1920s, Noble Drew and Garvey had this on lock already. Like, there was not, you weren't joining anything else. You were going to be part of one of those. You were going to be part of the Moorish Jews of Harlem, or you were going to be part of the Ahmadiyya movement. There ain't no Black Panthers and NOI and Whoopins and all that stuff in the 1920s.
Exactly.
None of that stuff in the 1920s. None of all these different whoever's saying that they're the ones that have the paperwork that's going to get you to whatever. None of those people. There was one way or F out of here. Go be a slave then. If you don't want to get down with the program that everybody else is on. And then remember, just like Garvey and Ahmadiyya movement and everybody else, Noble Drew Ali was unifying with all different nations. He didn't just know black guys only. He wasn't limited in his mindset as to who he can deal with or should deal with. If you have if you have a Moor, right now, this is in the literature. Let's think about this. A Moor is walking down the street, sees the Moor, and tells the Moor, "Hey, come here." The Moor goes to the store, and the Arab points at a man in the store and says, "You know who that is?" And the Moor says, "Yeah, that's my prophet, Noble Drew Ali." And then all the Arabs pulled out nationality cards. Not for some Islamic whatever, but to show that they're tied to the prophet. Gave honors by why not be part of his organization. You're looking at it like they're putting him on. They're not putting him on. Like, everybody knows that a prophet was going to come to dark-skinned people. This is not what Moors say. Everybody knows that the people in North America, these are some special people. There's something different about those people in North America. Like them knowing themselves is a whole different realm of know thyself. Because remember, everybody else has told their own story. We're the only ones. We're still making up fake stories. We're gonna make up stuff. What if they call Black Panther Moorish Panther? And instead of Wakanda, he was in a Moorish empire.
Yeah, bro. You know what's funny? They basically did say that. I mean, because Wakanda is an Aboriginal appellation of the Western Hemisphere, meaning Great Spirit. You know, so
that means that our people are lost.
Dumb lost.
I'm going extreme. Like, okay, why not just call it Moors then? If that's what it is, why are you playing? You know what I mean? Tell Disney FOH and just put it out yourself, but call it Moors. Like, you tell me not enough black guys to put some money together to put that out without whoever? Without the background people? Without the middleman? But, you know, if they do that, then everybody's going to be fired, and then they'll start saying, oh, they don't let black guys make movies because black guys are going to make the best black movies, and they don't want that because when they're going to do the stuff themselves. Can't tell me. If we're spending $50 billion on hair or whatever, no way. There's not the people out there to make this stuff change tomorrow. And if they have the ability to do it and they're not doing that, F them too. Whether you use fiat, gold chain that they got around their neck, whatever that they could use to assist in changing this thing around. But they'll never do it because they want their check. And then people are getting mad when a publication company is selling books. Like, you're not mad at Nike. You're not mad at frickin' Jordan for $5 to make a shoe, selling them for $400. You're not mad at that. You complaining about people who's doing good stuff? People who put their life on the line in certain situations or whatever? So other people could say that they're Moors? And then you don't want to recognize, you don't want to support that? You don't think people are hustling people? When they're begging for just some crumbs. Because active Moors already know, we're going to do this ourselves, it doesn't even matter. We don't really need people's support like that. Because this is going to happen regardless. Like, it's not, play like you don't want to support and all that. It's okay, stuff's still going to happen. People who take the lackey position and do nothing, there's ones opposite them that are going to do 800 times more work than these people would have ever did anyways. So let them stay there in their lackiness. Let them stay there in their dis Noble Juali and dis the Moorish Quran and all these things. Because again, we're on the high road. We're watching the destructionists fall. We're watching innocent people get it too, just because. All going back to the theme. Noble Juali came, everybody knows. Only people who don't know, Negroes in North America who think that they're everything else but Moors. In order to be anybody in any culture, you have to be part of some secret order of whatever. That's just what it is. North America, they have that. But it's some Europeans that's running that. And then unconscious Moors are thinking, go to them to get them to say, yeah, let me wear my fez again and let me wear my stuff again. When they're Moors, all they have to do is claim it. All they have to do is put it in the ethers. This is why it's so much work. Because, a lot of the work that people do is people's own work that they don't want to do for themselves. That's why there's backlog. There's backlog because if people take the time to study, they would be able to see the vastness. If people took time to study, they would be able to recognize in every way how much they actually are Moors. Like even when they look back in their own life, before they started saying they're somebody. When they were Negroes, they were still Moors, doing Moorish stuff. I didn't even know that that's what that was until they got Moorish knowledge and looked back like, oh, damn, that was Moorish stuff what we were doing. When you look at the quote-unquote slave name that we got, majority of us, those names trace back to something Moorish. But only if you look at it from the Moorish, or through the Moorish lens, you even be able to pick up on certain things. Because black lens is a black lens. You can't see anything. There's nothing to see, just blackness. Moorish lens, you can see it all. And that's how we're trying to just get our people to see. Just take one step back so you can see how real this is. 2 steps might be too much. You know what I mean? You might take 2 steps back and blow something. Don't slow down. This is more a science. This is not paying attention and the escalator's coming to the end. You're not paying attention. You don't look dumb to all those people behind you. Don't try to jump on this. So this is vast. There more. Let me yield. You got the muted one right now. Yeah, he must be muted. Well, again, recognize that the teachings, the divine instructions, the holy instructions that were presented really opens up a lot of other doors that you must walk through. You cannot choose not to walk through other doors of knowledge just because you're a Moor and they didn't say more. Well, if they said mystic, you should walk through. If they said archaeological evidence, you should probably walk through. Don't limit yourself. You're a Moor and it has to be only Moorish. No, it's going to be in many shapes and forms. It's going to be many shapes and forms. Again, what is it that they hate? What is wrong with what Juali presented? Egypt, capital dominion, capital empire of the dominion of Africa. According to all true and divine records of the human race, there is no Negro, black, or colored race attached to the human family, because all the inhabitants of Africa were and are of the human race, descendants of the ancient Canaanite nation from the holy land of Canaan. What your ancient forefathers were, you are today without doubt or contradiction. What your ancient forefathers were, you are today without doubt or contradiction. Without doubt or contradiction, you today are your ancient foremothers and forefathers. There is no one who is able to change man from the descendant nature of his forefathers, unless his power extends beyond the great universal creator Allah himself. These holy and divine laws are from the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, the founder of the uniting of the Moor Science Temple of America. Oh, so all of them are supposed to be united. How come they're playing separate? How come they're playing they don't like this one and they don't like those Moors over there because those Moors teach this and that? When Prophet was for the uniting of all that. How come they won't meet us where we meet them? Like we meet them that, okay, yeah, this is religious corporation, true. You know, we're going to say a constitutional right before some religious whatever. But, okay, we'll ride with you. But they'll never go with the national aspect. When Drew Ali was uniting all of this, not just the uniting of the Holy Quran, the uniting of the Moor Science Temple of America, obviously there was separation going on. These laws are to be strictly preserved by the members of all the temples of the Moor Science Temple of America. that they will learn and open their meeting to guide it according to the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Every subordinate temple of the Grand Major Temple is to form under the covenant of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and to create their own laws and customs in conjunction with the laws of the Holy Prophet and the Grand Major Temple. So you know what the principles are. You have the Prophet, you have the divine instruction, you have the holy instruction. You have the questions for Sunday school. You have your dictionaries. You have your other reference points of studying based on what was presented by Noble Drew Ali. And then you start presenting this information. You open your meeting, guide it according to the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. But remember, it doesn't have to be called Moor Science Temple of America. You don't have to give nationality cards. You don't have to give paperwork. You don't have to seal papers and do all that. You don't have to do that. That's already a lane that somebody's doing. A lane that many people are doing. Start up a school so that this information can be put out. Just like how you see these little pop-up churches just popping up. Praise God Temple. Oh, we love God Church. The God's Chosen Tabernacle. But remember, as Moor, you're Aboriginal and Indigenous. So this is your culture. This is not some religion stuff that you're trying to do so you can get some tax break. This is a birthright. The Prophet Noble Drew Ali was sent by the great God Allah to warn all Asiatics of America to repent from their sinful ways before the great and awful day that is sure to come. The time has come when every nation must worship under its own vine and fig tree, and every tongue must confess his own. Through sin and disobedience, every nation has suffered slavery due to the fact that they honored not the creed and principles of their forefathers. That is why the nationality of the Moors was taken away from them in 1774, and the word Negro, black, and colored was given to the Asiatics of America, who were of Moorish descent. The nationality of the Moors was taken away, and the words Negro, black, and colored was given Asiatics of America. Not the Asiatics of Asia. The Asiatics of America. The Asiatics of America were branded as Negro, black, colored, and lost their nationality, which was their bloodline that they were Moors. Once that was lost, the Europeans adopted what was lost, which was the nationality of the Moors. But the Europeans can't use it in its full capacity because they're not the bloodline. They're substitutes. So the substitute teacher only has what the teacher left to teach. The substitute teacher they don't got any say. You know, they get the attendance. They get the lesson for however long they're substituting for. But that's it. They don't have any classroom power. That's why every time there's a substitute, class goes nuts. Same thing that we're seeing today. The substitutes in power, and the place has gone mad. 80, 100 trillion in debt and all this stuff because substitutes been running the game. But remember, these Asiatics of America that lost their nationality, they are of Moorish descent. They're not of Hindustani descent, Asiatics. They're of Moorish descent. Asiatics of America of Moorish descent. Because they honored not the principles of their mother and father, and strayed after the gods of Europe, of whom they knew nothing. Strayed. You know, like a patong. You know, when a patong, a stray, and you don't want that dog in your yard, you know. No strays. Stray cat. About a man who took in a stray cat story from up the road. Man took in a stray cat. Stray cat killed this man in his sleep. Everything seemed nice and all that stuff till nighttime. Stray cat went nuts at night. Right? Strayed after the gods of Europe. And straying after the gods of Europe that they know nothing about. It's not even like they... No, we're talking about Moors. Moors lost their nationality. Straying after stuff that have nothing to do with them. Going after things that mean nothing. Like going after things has absolutely nothing to do with them. Right? So if after you read all that, confused about what's up, you can't still be confused after all that. Because remember, we went through the lessons of how the cover goes, how deep the cover goes. The days of study you're going to go into just by studying the meaning of the number 7 in all different cultures, not just one. Hey, how was this? Pick 7 cultures. I found the meaning of 7 in these 7 cultures. And then when you find those cultures, check their holy books or their mystic books or whatever books they got on spiritual enlightenment. And then relate that to what you have in your 7 book. And I bet you things match up. Like you would think they studied from Noble Drew Ali or Noble Drew Ali studied from them. Stuff's going to match up. This is why he said we honor all true and divine prophets. Because it's really one school of thought. It's really one idea. It's Allah. Everything goes back to the source. Yeah, well, we say Yahweh and we say, okay, but nobody's saying don't say that. Say how you want. What's your nationality, though? Oh, you're talking some BS? All right, well, then that stuff you're calling on, that stuff's not going to work. You're calling on idol gods at that point. You have no nationality? Talking about you sending praises to something? It's falling on deaf, invisible ears. That's just what it is. Do not think that Noble Drew Ali didn't bring it all. So, from a perspective, like he brought everything that it takes to save a nation. Everything that it takes to save a nation. And you're supposed to take it and save yourself with it. And he said, Holy Quran, Divine Constitution and Bylaws, 101 Questionnaire, Moorish Literature. You read those as a foundation, and then from there, branch out, like we were saying, Quran, front cover, break that down into all the 101 cover, break that down. What does cares of the world mean in cultures? What does humanity mean in cultures? What does crescent star and moon mean in their culture? Remember, it's all one thing. That's why he said we honor all true and divine prophets, because it's all one thing. No matter what happens, when you look and you see somebody and you say, hey, that guy's of a different, don't even, no matter what they say, oh yeah, same thing. Especially if they're nationals. They're Negro, black, colored, and all that stuff, I wouldn't really look at it like that. Because that's a hex. That's a bottomless pit. They're praying in reverse. Right? Instead of them being prayers, they're praying themselves. Use this more science, because it is a science. Trust what Drew Ali brought. You apply it how it was presented to you, not how somebody said. Just go read the stuff. Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, 101 Questionnaire, Moorish Literature, Divine Constitution and Bylaws. Let's go check those. It's going to give you reference points. That is definitely going to assist you. It's actual factual that is going to assist you. Right? And we're not speaking from the perspective of because we did it. We're speaking from the perspective of check for yourself. Forget we did it. Forget anymore went through some situation to make them realize, wow, this thing's real. You check and see how real it is for you. Because trust, it's going to be real for you in some way, shape, or form. Some way, shape, or form, Moorish is going to be hinged on you, and you're not going to be able to get that off. You're not going to be able to get rid of it. It's going to be reminding you all the time, going everywhere, no matter where you go. Every time you open your eyes, you see 7, or it adds up to 7, or you see, something relative to Moors. That's just going to slap you every day. You're going to see something. Just because you're hinged on now. Been downloaded. So you can't get rid of it. You're stuck with it. Just because. It's hardwired to you. And remember, it's internal, so it's really you that turned on. It wasn't some outside thing that put it. You turned on. Once that switch is flipped, the flick is hit, like that's that. You're on your way downhill, full speed, nothing in your way, no corners, no nothing, just straight.
Peace, Moor.
Where you at? Something like that. Islam, Moor. You made it back.
Yes, pardon on that, bro. But look,
it's all good.
We got an hour left and 2 callers. You want to get into the callers?
No doubt.
Cool. That being said, we're going to take our first caller. Caller 619-303. You're live on the air. You with us? Caller 619-303. You're live on the air, fam. All right. Cool. Caller 412-727. You're live on the air.
Islam fam, it's Energy L out of Northwestern Mexham.
Islam, peace.
I appreciate the dialogue tonight, Cujo. You went in. Always keeping it a buck. I love that. Miz, I appreciate what you had to say. Young Pharoah be tripping, but that's just the youngins out here. The elders is misleading him for whatever reason. You know, Pharoah student said, you know, come on now, you the elder. You should have been studied by now. How you standing out here looking and acting like that? I had a question that I was going to ask, but Cujo, like I said, you went in and kept it a buck. So my question was going to be, why do Moors refer to our holy book as the Circle 7? When I look at it, it's like there's no circle on it. But anyway, you touched on that and what you had to share this evening. So I'm moving on and getting back to Miz as he was speaking on, you know, cats out here spouting off nonsense and ain't even doing no research, going on what they was told, you know, and not really doing no research. But I appreciate the way Ramiel put it out there on the record. And then I know I seen recently a clip, young Pharoah holding the Quran in his hand. So hopefully, I mean, it could be he trying to, or his intent is to things to be whatever, but he's on the road to learning, so I can appreciate that. And I do feel some kind of way with elder sons out there, Sarah Sutton-Seti, Sarnetta, yep, I'm naming names. I'm allowed to do that. Anyway, misleading the youth like that. But again, the truth does not change nor pass away. So we good. I was going to recite something from the Quran since the beginning of the broadcast. I spoke on speaking out of the Quran, and this is chapter 45, Divine Origins of the Asiatic. Just verse 1. The fallen sons and daughters of the Asiatic nations of North America need to learn to love instead of hate, and to know their higher self and lower self. This is the uniting of the Holy Quran of Mecca for teaching and instructing all Moorish Americans, etc. So that's all nations, because he was a prophet, not just for us, but for, you know, all nations. So all this information applies to us as a species. So, but like I said, Cujo, you know, well said, all the way around. You know, the information is here. It's not hitting anymore. That agenda is played out, worn out. If you're not doing your part to save yourself, then, you know, it is what it is. I ain't really strutting it. So I'm going to yield the floor.
All right. Thank you so much, Sister Energy. It's good to hear from you once again, you know. Indeed. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what that is, bro.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
just keep it a buck. Y'all remember when y'all, you know what I'm saying, when I first came through. And, you know, it is what it is. I mean, I'm a Moor. I mean, it's amazing to me. I find it hilarious. I mean, people of the planet, well, I ain't even go there. I'm going to just stick with, you know, what's here on these shores, upon this ancestral state that we call North America, misnomer, USA. I don't get that. Two different things totally. But anyway, we, you know, all you got to do is just study. If you talk about you don't like to be bothered, you don't like to pay, you know, this, that, and the other thing, why you got to do this, and da-da-da-da, well, find out why. And seeing how we lack nationality, and that happens to be the major reason why we suffer the way we do, constantly being molested, then, you know, you would think an individual would check in on that. And it's foul how adults, so-called adults, hold the youth back from that, you know, because the pastor at church ain't going to talk to the youth about it, but yet you got this access to the youth, and you know the truth, but you ain't. It's just insane to me. It really is. But, you know, I'm just grateful to be in the know from when I first reached out to Cujo concerning a matter, and you can't be calling on folks trying to this, that, and the other thing. Study. It's there, and you're an intelligent being, so you go and get it. You know, and a lot of people, it's a misunderstanding. It's not a religion. It's not about an organization where it's a building or nothing like that. It's a movement, and it's your movement. How do you move? So many people out here chasing more. I need more money. You know, but fighting like hell not to be more, and that's what you are. It's just weird to me. I'm just grateful that I got it in, and I'm getting it in. Hey, I got a question. Are y'all familiar with the Consecrated Talisman by Prince Uriel Bay?
I heard of that.
I just talked to your moms about it, last week, and she was shocked I even had my hands on it, yo. Do you know they murdered that man, you know, concerning this information, right?
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure how he passed through him or anything.
It was under suspicious circumstances. I'll accept that as murder.
Uh-huh.
And think about it. If you study any of the information that he put together, I could see why they murked him quick. Yeah, people like Jordan Miles can still be out here because they know the masses ain't gonna hear that. Like he even tell you, they so busy want to play ball, football, basketball, they going to the game. That BS. However, yeah. So I just came upon his information about 2 months ago, and I was able to get my hands on a little bit of the literature that has been released, because as your moms was saying, that it wasn't even out there all like that, and he wasn't really, you know, attempting to put it out there all like that, and I could see why. But anyway, I know I've seen 2 videos, but right here, page 6, inside the Consecrated Talisman, nonsense, the profound works of noble prophet Noble Drew Ali and Malachi Zadok El. Has there been a holographic text that speaks to the spirit, mind, heart, soul, and body of perfection known to thee as man? And it's jam-packed with so much information. I'm so grateful to have my hands on it. I have 1 and 2 and seeking to get 3. Really, that's something you talk about studying and just even more information concerning when, where, how, you know, what's still on the books. When he's said, when the prophet told us to speak in an intelligent tone, he speaks the Moorish Latin, so he was able to retrieve a lot of the documents that's still in play, that's still being held in, you know, libraries around the world. it's crazy. It's crazy. It's right here. And when somebody said something about Empire, and I know y'all wasn't talking about the TV show, but I ain't going to front. Don't get me started on that TV show. Y'all don't even know. Y'all don't even know. It's right here in front of our face, just like everything else right in front of your face, showing you your empire in a way that's in today's terms, but people getting distracted by certain fractions. That's still a part of existence, the so-called homosexual part. You know, the so-called European part, somebody just brought that up to me, the reason why they don't check it out. And the only reason why I started checking it out is because I've seen what I guess they're called memes or whatever on Facebook twice. Not together. It was like some time apart and seeing the same meme, and it made sense. The guy that plays the main character was sitting in a chair, and it stated, people wait all week to see our show about an empire, but won't spend an hour a day to learn how to build one. And after I seen it for the second time, I was like, all right, let me check it out. And man, if it ain't talking about us in the here and freaking now, it's crazy. It's crazy. And based on if we knew the knowledge or if we were all operating under the information that's available to us, that's in play right now on how to handle business, because being in this paradigm, that's all this is about, is handling business. But anyway, and operating from your standpoint in proper person status, oh my goodness, it's crazy out here. It's crazy, but you know, you gotta seek it and cast that be leading our youth down the wrong path. You know, justice will catch them. I ain't even expecting that. Miz, you spend a little bit too much time giving that era. That whole situation play, but I understand. We get passionate. You know, I thought he was addressed on that matter. I do feel he was addressed on that matter. You know, Romney L, he really put it off on that one video he recently put out. Actually, I guess shortly thereafter. But yeah. But I'm glad to hear you all too. Got the text tonight. I was like, and I can tune in, possibly get on. Why not? Talk to the family tonight. So how y'all been?
Well, Noble, how about yourself? We thankful you did call in. It's been a minute since I heard you call in, but all is well. Thank you for tuning in, you know, adding on. Always good to hear from you. So.
Islam.
All is. And it's funny you mentioned the memes about empire, because I remember one. It's about when he was meeting with a European about a record deal, and on the fireplace they had Creedmoor written on the fireplace, etched in stone.
Dude,
that's when.
Dude, you're not trying to get me started. Season 1, episode 1. Dude was in the booth. His sweatpants. At the top of his sweatpants is the crescent and the star. I BS you not. What he say? He the Prince of America. What he say? Higher state of mind. This is our year. Prince of America. I'm not ish right there. What? And then they went into the booth and he had on sweatpants with the crescent and star right at his. Dude, stop playing. At the white party. Same season. What did they have on at that white party? Moorish garb. What we have major influence on this planet. Our music is everywhere, just like any other time throughout our existence as a species. Our music is all over the planet. You can turn on you can go to Marrakesh, you're going to hear trap music. Bruh, come on, trap music in Marrakesh? Who does that? That's the influence that we have from these shores right here, but yet we don't control it. Why? Because we're not even in our proper status because we're outside our freaking minds. But don't get me started on Empire. Please don't. And, yes, I've watched every single episode, and I analyze and I see all of it. What he say? It ain't about the money. It's about the power. That's a song. One of the songs. All their songs be hitting on all the information, and it's so crazy. It's right in front of our face. And it should be understood by us. But a lot of more, you know, I don't watch that because of the gay, da-da-da-da. And it's like, dude, You're missing it. I'm telling you, I don't even watch TV. That's the only reason why I watch it, and I watch it on, the internet, what's it called, Hulu, whatever. You know what I'm saying? And I sit through the commercials, and that's why I don't watch TV because I hate commercials. But anyway, and I'm like, just every scene. The end of season 1, when they was on the balcony, who went over? I already knew Becky with the good hair had to go over because we can't have them in the Empire no more. We didn't learn from them lessons. You know what I'm saying? You do you over there, we do us over here. That's how we do. And if you know how to handle business, we'll do business with you. But you act a fool, you can't be acting a fool here in my house, not on my land. That don't even make sense. Please don't get me started with Empire. Please don't. It's so deep. It's so deep in the face. And Cujo, you know what the industry about. Come on now. The influence. Oh my God. Oh yeah. Oh, and I got it as my ringtone. I'm a Moor, not black or Indian. Cujo, how do I get that? What CD? What is the title of the album or CD that's on? That's what I'm still in line, so I can ask that question.
That's Iron Sheik 5.
Iron Sheik 5. Thank you so much. I got to cop that because that's my ringtone. When I heard that, I was like, y'all, I love to hear my phone ring and I'm in public. I let it ring a little bit so they can hear it all. But anyway. Love it. Appreciate that. But anyway, y'all know me.
Indeed. Well, that's
I'm glad I got a chance to speak on Empire because that is near and dear to my heart. I ain't even going front. They go so hard on that show. It is so well written about our information all the way up through. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
And we missed it. But, yeah, y'all get your hands on it. This, The Consecrated Talisman, Prince Uriel Bey. And then volume 2 is Economics with an O in front of it, and it's Moorish Latin, so I'm sounding it the best I can. So Economics, that's OECONOMICUS. And I love the fact that he has the Etmarium currency in its denomination. The Bill 25 has Sheikh Sharif Abdul Ali on it, commonly known as Noble Drew Ali. I appreciate that. You know, the fact that the document from the so-called, Homeland Security, you know, they put on notice and sent reference back in acknowledgement of the currency. So, you know, things like this, just, you know, this brother put forth. And it's like, wow, right in front of our face. And he said, speaking in an intelligent tone, you get a favorable response. He obviously was able to, and he put this information together for us, and we're able to get a piece of what he did as far as the movement. So, you know, I heavily suggest that people should cop that and study it because the information is really deep. And when you spoke on you doing stuff, when you look back, once you start studying, you look back, you'd be like, I've been doing Moorish science, you know, in a lot of my practices. And one of the questions is about the national dish for the Moors is couscous. And that's something I've been eating twice sometimes, didn't even realize, you know, didn't even realize. And sitting on the floor eating, stuff like that. I make my own clothes, so, and it's just so many things. You're more. Just deal with it. You're more. Stop trying to chase more. Just be more.
Exactly. Sister,
there's one.
Thank you so much. We got a couple of more callers left, so we're just gonna get to them. And highly appreciate you on the check-in.
There's a lot, Mother Energy.
Wholeness, Joe, wholeness, Miss, peace.
All right, peace, sis. Be safe. Cool. We're always good to hear from Sister Energy, fam. All right, caller 603-609. Live on the air. You with us?
I'm with you guys. Hey, family, how y'all doing? This is Najwa.
Islam.
I'm out here. I'm Islam. I'm out here on the road, so I don't know how good my signal's gonna be. I just wanted to say a couple things. Well, three things. One, I love the way you guys are handling young Pharoah over there. I see the love energy in there as far as what you guys are doing as him being a younger brother. I like that. But on the tip with Jesus, I just wanted to put this thing out there, because I was kind of raised in the church. And, knowing what I know about Egyptian stuff, or Kemet stuff, which is not much, but I do know that we utilize the principles, or that they utilize the principles, and that when we came into Christianity, we were supposed to also utilize those as principles, not as anthropomorphisms, if you would. And we just didn't get that higher knowledge of it. So when I ran into the Circle 7 Quran, which was mentioned by C. Freeman L., I looked at it the same way. I was like, I don't want to go back into no church mindset of Jesus and all of this other stuff. And it took me a while to read it, just like what Set and Ra was saying, But it's a matter of getting those principles like you're bringing out. It's not about that belief system. So I just wanted to put that out there. The last thing that I wanted to say, and then I'm going to yield the phone. I've been doing some research on my history to find out my family names and stuff. And there's more information out here, I guess because more people are looking it up. Well, as it turns out, one of the things that I noticed about the name that was put on my family, if you would, there is a Caucasian side or a white side, for lack of a better term, and a black side, for lack of a better term, in every name that I look at. One of the names that I look at, I'll give you an example, Pat Boone. We know what he looks like. But I know that my family is not Caucasian, white, European, for the most part. I looked that name up. You guys might want to go check out that information, looking up that name, Boone. It's a website called GENI.com. Put that name in there, and you'll see that name transition back through history. As I was able to transition back through this name in history, it went back to about I probably got back to about the 800s. When you get back to about the 800s, you're going to run across, I don't know what her title was as far as countess or princess or whatever, but the last part of her name was Delaware, okay? I remember someone mentioning that when some people came up the Hudson or came up one of the rivers over there on the East Coast, that's what they screamed, Delaware, okay? One of the ladies that I work with right now, she said, when I told her this information, she said, yeah, they worked on the Underground Railroad. So my question would be, if it's in the 800s or the 900s, how did a Delaware work on the Underground Railroad? That would be the first question. The second question is that when you look at where they say these people were at, either born or passing away or something like that, their birth or their death, one of the things it says is the Netherlands. Now, because I'm not real versed on geography, I'm still over on the other side of the water because this goes through all of the royalty that's over there on the other side of the water. But in this one, it said that particular place was now known as, Long Island, New York, or something to that effect. So that literally puts that royal family back over here prior to the Europeans getting over here. So we got to get away from the colorism, get away from the religion, and go on and bring this thing in because we owned the land. We had the land. And so that name possibly, more than likely, was not that European coming in putting their name on us, for example. That was what they said was the melanated people, some of the melanated people who were on those plantations accepted the names of their former masters, which could have been the melanated people as opposed to the European people who came in after the Civil War. So I just wanted to put that on the record for you guys out here doing this research.
Mhm. It's funny you mentioned the Netherlands. I'm gonna just make this suggestion to you because now you're talking about the Dutch. I don't know if you ever seen it. You may have seen it. Have you ever watched the video or a short movie? It's less than an hour. It's called The Dutchman. Have you ever watched that?
I haven't watched that. I just got finished with The Tudors, the whole series of The Tudors. But go ahead.
All right. No, go make a note of it to watch that movie. It's less than an hour. But I'm telling you, if you really pay attention, don't look past the fact of the swirling. Like, it's not even swirling. It's just like this European woman is a predator on this Moorish man. And, you know, the movie is called The Dutchman. They subconsciously got the Dutch Master logo placed for you. Yeah. But she's proceeding to tell him about who he is, right? You got to watch the whole thing because she say it all in there. She's like, what are these hopeless colored names, you know, creeping out of New Jersey? And then she goes on to list. She goes on to list them. She says, like, Leonard, like, Black. Like, I was like, hold on, what? Like, this isn't a movie called The Dutchman. You got to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
And when the Moor asked her, he's like, well, you saying you know so much about me, what's my name? She goes on to say Morris. She's like, your name is Morris, right? So she's telling him all about it, but allegedly doesn't know him. But you got to watch it because it's called The Dutchman, and you was mentioning the Netherlands. And that movie will connect some dots for you as well. You know what I mean? I know you're doing real solid research, but subconsciously in that movie, it's in black and white. You know what I mean? And it's like one scene, but it's hella jewels just all in there. You gotta watch that, The Dutchman. Yeah.
Let me say this on that research. I'm gonna watch that, Miz. I'm gonna look it up as soon as I get a chance. But on this history, if you look at it, they'll go from England to Wales, I believe it is. It'll go back to France, Scotland, and then I think it proceeds around to the Dutch. They even go into one of the royal families. They end up going into the Holy Land, which on GeneI.com it actually says that it was Palestine, of course, and we know that we weren't looking at these modern Europeans at that particular time. There's another thing when y'all start to look on there. If you start to look under there, looking up that name Boone, which changes to Bohun, and de Bohun, okay, with a D in front of it, kind of like with the French dialect, if you would. Look at their crest, okay, because I literally broke out in tears when I watched the crest go back. And they ended up, I saw 3 red stars on there, and I thought it was 3 5-pointed stars. I really wasn't thinking anything about it. It ended up being 3 6-pointed stars. So that's going to tie us back to what we would call our Hebrew Israelite or Israelite. I know it's a creed, but still it has a connection with that when you talk about what's on the back of that dollar bill, so to speak, and the Star of David. So I'm just dropping them jewels. I'm going to go on and get off of here and let you guys handle the rest of the callers you have before your show closes.
Peace, mothers.
We appreciate it. Absolutely. Thank you for dropping that. All right, now.
All right.
Thank you much.
All right.
Cool.
You're welcome. Y'all take care now. All right.
Likewise. All right. Cool. Call us 719-323. You're live on the air. You with us?
Yes, greetings. This is Brother Bukhari coming to you from Northwest Alexa.
Peace,
Mark.
Bukhari.
Hey, yeah, I just listening to this wonderful show and all these good points that were coming up, and Moore's these mothers are just dropping it tonight, and I was just enjoying everything, and I just wanted to share with everyone that I just recently got my copy of Golden Age of the Moor, edited by Ivan Van Sertima. And it is the second volume, and I haven't even made it to page 100 yet, and I'm already blown away by the first, I was already blown away by the first 10 pages of the, what's it called? Hang on just a second. It's an excerpt from The Moor in Africa and Europe by Ivan Van Sertima, and its origins and definitions. And just in the first paragraph, I just had to share this kind of like a freestyle type thing. I hope you guys don't mind. I don't want to take away from any of the points that were made this evening, but I just had to just share this because it's just shows there's just so much information out there. A lot of people get information, but they don't really research it. They just read something, and they don't look to where the source came from. Do any background checking on the source or anything like that, and then they just start getting on social media and repeating what they briefly read. And I just wanted to share that part of research is research is not going on the internet and typing in a definition and reading the output, if you will, and then just talking about that. No, research is pulling up a definition, then looking at other sources, other websites about the same definition, or going to text, going to actual books, libraries. Research is pulling up and reading a book about a given subject, and then going into the bibliography and getting another book and researching and then reading that book. And then research, again, is also reading the opposing, if any, like as an example, if there are several scholars who profess the same ideology on a given subject, right? That's wonderful, regardless of whether or not that meets with your paradigm, and you're just coming into the movement. I believe it's important for you to not only research a view that mirrors your own and break that down, but also the opposing view. Because sometimes in the opposing view, you can get information from that is just totally bogus. And then again, the other thing I wanted to mention, another thing I wanted to quickly mention, for people that, have their thinking caps on, is like when you hear a lot of these people out there who just came on the scene, and Cujo has pointed this out on numerous occasions a few years ago or recently, and you hear them say certain things about a given text, or they quote someone or what have you, I would strongly recommend that you don't take their word for it. And I know that this has been said, but a lot of stuff has been coming out lately with a lot of these individuals who've been bashing Moors and continue to, bash Moors, who are saying certain things. And one of the individuals who brought this to the attention of the public was Brother Rami Salam El in one of his videos that he did, where he clearly shows that an individual who mentioned a given text misrepresented the information. And so because he went into the text and read from it himself. And so that's very, very important. Those are some extremely important things, because if you're not prepared to deal with that, given the history of how we as Moors got into this predicament, then you're how should I say this? You're deluding yourself. You're not really taking this seriously. If you think that there isn't and hasn't been a concerted attempt to misrepresent information, and if you can't get that, then you're misleading yourself. So there's always going to be a struggle when you don't have control over the landmass. Okay, and one of the last things that I wanted to mention before I get off the soapbox, I'll just take about a minute here, is in terms of the control of the landmass, and I think that like today I had a consultation with a Moor, and I know I'm jumping around a little bit, but I have to share this. I'm not going to share appellations and the details, but one of the things that I wanted to express to this young brother was that it's important to know how to submit writs. It's extremely important. It's important to know about writing writs and about the different types of writs, because a writ is an affidavit. It's a synopsis of facts. And so it's important to utilize them. It's important to know about various different things about land and acquisition and things of that nature, and the right to travel, knowing about your rights and things. But one of the things that I wanted to stress to this young man was that it's important, it's much more important to be prepared for the fight. It's much more important to recognize there is strength in numbers. It's much more important to recognize that things have been done the same way for several hundred years. Okay, that's important to recognize. And so it hasn't been working under this particular umbrella in the same fashion, so that tells you something. And so I just wanted to share those thoughts, and thank you for the platform, and just allowing me to say those things, and just continue to do this, man. And thanks for the mothers for calling in and dropping that information, because and then to the sister or to the mother who mentioned about the television series, tell her to check out, if she's still listening, check out the Musketeers, the latest version of the Musketeers, and they're dropping Moorish information. They're using the term Moor as it pertains to a heavily melanated brother in the series, and they dropped a whole bunch of stuff in that television series, which they canceled. But check it out. It's all out there. There's no mystery. It's only COINTELPRO agents and people who have mental problems that are just confusing the hell out of the masses. Islam, I yield the floor.
Islam, Noble Kai. Thank you for adding on. We appreciate that, bro. Absolutely. Definitely. So the Musketeers, definitely look into that. Cool. So we have one more caller. Caller 910-709. You're live on the air. You with us, fam?
Islam. Peace and love, Moors. Honor to the panels. This is Brother Ernest Manning Bay of Morocco.
Peace, Moor.
Just had to say, after listening to everything, it all comes back to what? The Hermetic principles as well. We know we are more. People don't come up against something that's not real. So I'm glad. Tell them to keep coming. Keep coming. Because every time they come, they let somebody else know that we are here, we are real, okay? And it's up to them to take hold of what's real and what's true. And it will happen.
Mm-hmm.
Little brother like me over here in this North Carolina territory, I look around, like you say, I'm the only one in my area. That's okay. I'm going to be the only one until somebody else sees that light and wakes up. So don't worry about them. Liz, y'all right on cue, always. Cujo,
what?
Love it. Cujo be going at them, okay? Love it. It takes it all. It takes it all. Sometimes we have to war with our own people. But it's out of love. I yield the floor.
It's love, Moor.
Peace, Noble.
Peace.
Indeed. To tune in on that. We highly appreciate that. That being said, bro, that is our last caller for the night. You want to add anything on? Oh, hold on. My fault. We do have one more caller. All right. Caller 682-360. You're live in the air, fam.
Peace and love.
Peace. Sound little.
You say what?
Sound a little scratchy.
Hold on. Let me take this Bluetooth off. Can you hear me?
Yeah, peace, Moor. We can hear you clear now.
Ready? Yeah, no, it ain't that much time left. I just had a quick question. I was trying to try to get the nationality card because I've been trying to navigate with the papers, but it's kind of hard without a photo sometimes. But I was trying to figure out, like, I want to put the P.O. box. I want to use a P.O. box on the nationality card. I was trying to figure out how can I get a P.O. box if I ain't got the nationality card without using my ID. You have any suggestions on that?
I'm sure there's ways to work that out if you got relations at the post office. But what I suggest that you do, though, is send your inquiry to rvbaynatcards@gmail.com.
Okay. Somebody going to answer for me?
Yeah, absolutely. Or call in because, it's limited time. And,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so I would say, like, if you need to really build on that, you should send your inquiry there. Or if you don't mind, I'll just take it down, but you should still send your inquiry.
Okay.
I mean, I do. Yeah, pardon me, you gotta correct me on your affiliation, but I do have your number here, so I'll definitely take that down and see what's really going on with you from there, because I know it's been a minute, but I know they require or ask for a certain few things. I'm not sure, but again, yeah. What's the appellation, bro?
Eric Amir Sierra Bay.
All right, I got you for certain. Yeah,
right.
You can send your inquiry to rvbaynatcard@gmail.com for now, or somebody will definitely get back in contact with you.
All right, I would appreciate that, man, for real.
All right, no. Yeah. You know what? A lot of the things change with the post office now too. Especially the one where they try to have you do everything online, which isn't really fair. Like right now, you can't even set up an appointment for a passport. You know what I mean? Unless you go online. So I know a lot of things they're moving over to the digital wave, which makes it harder to, you know what I mean, get the point across. But yeah,
And they want
maybe
ID
go,
and stuff like that.
yeah. It's nothing impossible, you know. It's just that I know they switched up their format with a lot of things. So like what you used to be able to walk in there and do, now you have to do online, even down to getting a passport. Like you can't even set up a meeting place. You got to do it online. And I don't know how much of that has changed and what those challenges are like. But for certain, more, we'll definitely build on that.
All right. Appreciate y'all, man.
No
Real
problem.
highest honor to y'all. Islam. Peace and love.
Number one. All right. Yeah, because we have one more caller. Caller 80421. You're live on the air. You with us?
Yeah, Islam. Can you hear me?
Yes, peace, man. We can hear you.
Yeah, this brother Azad. I didn't want to prolong the call, but I want to say thanks to Kuja for the shout out earlier about the spouse situation. That was amazing just to see that little bit of growth, even though I know it's there. She's always saying little stuff, and I'd be like, where did you get that from? And sometimes I forget that I do talk to her about a whole lot of stuff and not knowing if it's getting through or not.
Love more.
Yeah. And that thing with that brother, it's just kind of crazy. Miz, I know you was kind of shocked when you heard the information from that brother, and like I said, I don't know if we speaking names or whatever, but you did a video with him, and it's kind of crazy because you right there with somebody, and then they just start talking crazy, and you just like, what? Hold up, I was just with you. So it's just kind of crazy, what's going on.
Yeah, man, it is, bro. It really is, and just goes to show, man, because all of that could have been resolved if it was any problems. I don't know. I just sometimes I feel like people think that's like the open wave of getting recognition. Let me mention RV Bay. Let me mention, and I don't know, man. I can't call it, but that's what it be looking like sometimes,
Yeah, that's what I was speaking about on the call. Like I was talking about the art of war, and I went back and revisited it today, and in chapter 3 it says the nature of the attack, and it's just going over. I was talking to my wife, and I was showing her the information, and it says people will always have the desire to see the demise of any leader, including their own. If there is slightly annoyance or inconvenience brought about by or because of that leader, people are generally unsteady under pressure, and they will usually follow the bread wagon and do so with little regard for future consequences. So it says the masses of the people are only concerned with their own welfare. So if going back into it, it was just basically saying how to, like you all were saying, previously that, RV Bay has been around and been doing the work, and they're you all are pretty much the leaders. So you have all these other people that don't have fame and nobility, and they don't have anything to put in place. Followers were to follow them. Whatever they have is going to put them back in a 14th Amendment status, where that's not good for them. So they out here talking all this crap, and you have nothing, you have no remedy, you don't have anything. And I think, Brother Cujo, you had a call, or you had a YouTube earlier today that I was watching, and you basically talking about how they don't have anything to put in place, if something was to take place. So it's like, okay, Ivy Bear's been around, and now here you come along, and you wanna jump on something or do something that you're not. Yeah, be something that you're not, and that's kind of crazy. Kind of crazy how they're going about it.
Yeah, that's the whole incompetence game, and then again not being sincere enough to sit back and say, hold on a second, let me really check what the Moors are saying. It's no different than we talk about people out here, James Small, Dr. Kaba, Phil Valentine. All them people came here, told the people there, all the black guys, pointed at the Moors, like, hey, you see those Moors over there? Make sure you guys go deal with those Moors. They ain't even check nobody. So I'm not even holding my breath with them. All I know is the ones who are really talking against this, they have a death wish. They're begging for it.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Right.
But yeah, all in all, like I said, that whole thing with that brother, man, like I said, and I was sharing with you, Brother Cujo, or Grandson Cujo, that he put the video on the private whatever, and at first you couldn't comment on his video, and I guess for the callers, like this brother did a video on Facebook, and he was just basically downplaying Brother Hannibal when he did a class, and he was talking about how Prophet Noble Drew Ali didn't have he didn't use the red flag with the green point and star, and it said it in a 101. So I wasn't going back and forth with this brother on Facebook, but I just clearly researched, like the brother, one of the callers earlier. I just clearly just went and did my own little due diligence and research, because this brother had some type of PowerPoint or whatever he was putting up, and he was saying that the Moroccan flag with the green point and star didn't come out until 1956 or something, but that's clearly not true. So it was a lot of information that I put out there, and then I even put the information for what it says in the 101. I think number 18 to be exact. It says that it gives the information on what the flag looked like in the description. And the next morning when I got up to go look at Facebook, it was completely deleted. The video and everything, all the information that I put on there was deleted. I wasn't going back and forth with him. I just put so much information that he couldn't deny it.
Right.
That's how they do, yo. That's exactly how they do. When you checkmate them, they want to mess up the board and say start over.
Yeah, that was crazy. But I mean, like I said, at the end of the day, like I said, I don't know what time the call drops off or whatever, but I just wanted to come on and say thanks, Cujo, man. For the shout out. You really didn't have to do it, but that did make my day, because she just she shocked me. I was just like, what? What the world? But anyway,
just love, boy.
Islam Noble. Thank you for tuning in and calling in and affirming. We highly appreciate you, bro. Highly. That being said, that was our last caller for the night. We will be over with the show in less than 6 minutes. So with that being said, Brother Cujo, you want to say anything in closing, bro?
Just keep studying more. You know what I mean? Take what Noble Drew Ali brought for you. Take it serious. really no joke. You know, it's really no joke. Take it serious, and you will see it for yourself, how much not of a joke it is. You know, and then how much of a joke people are who talk against it. And also and onto MHHS, RV Bay Publications, all the master teachers for setting us straight from the jump. I mean, from the giddy up, we've been set straight. So peace and love to all.
Indeed, likewise. I echo the same thing. Peace and love to all Moors listening. Big thanks to everybody. You know, Canaanland Moors Heritage History School, RV Bay Publications. Much thanks to all the listeners, you know, supporters, etc. And that being said, we'll be back Tuesday on the Blog Talk venue. I know we're going to touch on some things about what a lawful claim is, etc. So you're not going to want to miss that. 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Tuesday. And I know there is a class Delaware tomorrow. My mother will be going in. And, yeah, that's what we have to look forward to as far as that. And I know you'll be doing some live streams as well, more than likely on Sunday, etc. So, yeah, Moors, enjoy yourselves, enjoy your weekend, holy day, etc. And we'll talk to you all soon. Peace and much love. Right.
Yeah. Operation Rapper in position. We still here. Operation Rapper in position. Fam. All the gods and goddesses. Iron Sheep. Hip hop lives, yo. The deaf won't hear and the blind won't see the hidden message in the words of Drew Ali. Inept, indirectly, Boo Ali, one of the names of the prophets internationally. Drew said Moors, proclaiming nationality, cause you're not Ethiopian or NBC. So he founded America's MST in 28. Me saying that they will cause debates are needed to clear up the mess. But most debate so they can big up their chest to prove what they know and what they can do. Recreating the wheel that was created by Drew. When you know the truth, many debate, but few humble themselves and suppress the jungle in self. Do them, I just do me, keeping my gold while they trade in their jewelry. Taj Tariq and Nature Bay schooled me. You fool me in your dreams. Dirty Moors think they could mule me. Truly, who's the real Drew? Me and we. A scene more. Their religion is my mental degree, and where everybody's supposed to be. If not, I guess that's not where you're supposed to be. Hopefully, Drew Ali will be seen openly and realize NBC is something you can be. The deaf won't hear, the blind won't see the hidden message in the words of Drew Ali. The deaf won't hear, the blind won't see the hidden message in the words of Drew Ali. The deaf won't hear, the blind won't see the hidden message in the words of Drew Ali. The deaf won't hear, the blind won't see the hidden message in the words of Drew Ali. It seems unconscious Moors love the semblance of identity and having no remembrance of their Moorish past, no resemblance of their ancestral land inheritance. Love being the children, not the parents. To do any activity asking for clearance. Their minds like crystal, nothing but clearance. Everyone can progress in their land, the heirs can't. It's your status, stop blaming racists who bleed just like you if you shank their faces. You Moors flew here in pyramid spaceships, and they use that as an emblem on their aprons, and can't be free if not Moorish Masons. Black or more Europeans are not Caucasians, coming to the new world to civilize pagans. With boats at harbors from mosque on hills, we sending in agents. The deaf won't hear, the blind won't see the hidden message in the words of Drew Ali. The deaf won't hear, the blind won't see the hidden message in the words of Drew Ali. The deaf won't hear, the blind won't see the hidden message in the words of Drew Ali. The deaf won't hear, the blind won't see the hidden message in the words of Drew Ali.
We transcend and ascend in this. It's a journey, just like the Moors traveling. Worlds upon worlds that's found within. It gotta touch her as we exhale. Past all distorted truths and the lies they tell to keep y'all from drinking at the well. Divine love, that's the fountain of youth. Sun peep it, this is the alchemist's secret. Restoring true unity, resurrecting a community. So every day I wake to fight. Though it's hard, it's rest guard. In every demonstration I'm penetrating to the depths of the mind. A noble chief, well kept and refined. Your feeling is bright like the star Sirius. This musician is the son of man. I look within, Drew Ali on the canvas of my soul to replenish the whole. Replacing the old is critical, reaching to the pinnacle. Native and original MC that's relevant, and the style is intelligent, but I keep it interesting. Dropping true math in the cipher if you enter in. The law is the center, so study yourself and be renewed. That's elevation, restoration through contemplation and meditation. Now the soul's navigating, manifesting all creation. The roomie of this mic, utilizing the light on the path. My body is an astro lab. I take the right actions, and my compass is compassion for internal alchemy.
The deaf won't hear, the blind won't see the hidden message in the words of Drew Ali. The deaf won't hear, the blind won't see the hidden message in the words of Drew Ali. The deaf won't hear, the blind won't see the hidden message in the words of Drew Ali. The deaf won't hear, the blind won't see the hidden message in the words of Drew Ali.